Hello everyone, welcome to another episode of Magic Arena Run. Today we are going to be doing, well, it's midweek Magic and they usually give us 1 week of for a constructed event. Actually no, I would say no, for basically a block event, and this one is just for Phyrexia AWBO. We probably will get the future on the edge. It would be Brothers War, March of the Machines. Actually, we should be expecting Dominaria United, Brothers War, and AWBO in the next few weeks. But for now, it's just straight AWBO constructed. And my experience is that everyone is just playing toxic. Well, almost everyone. I think there were a few mono-red decks as well. But for the most part, it's mostly toxic in one form or another. So we're just going to keep it simple here. We're best balance of removal and decent creatures. So we're going to go mono black. We are also kind of playing the toxic game as well. 4 copies of Pestilent Siphoner, 4 copies of Blight Belly Rat. It's mostly to get us to to 3 poison counters, also a few copies of Stinging, Hive Master, and some Vraska's Fall just to get started. The idea is that we want our Anoint with Affliction to be a universal removal spell. Probably could cut one Annihilating Glare to have a 4th copy of this. So that we can balance it out that way. A few copies of Whispers of the Dross, because there are so many people playing turn 1 Crawling Chorus. This is very decent as an early removal spell. Drawn in Ichor answers almost everything, so we're keeping that. What is the one thing that it doesn't quite answer? Phyrexian Obliterator. We're running all 4 copies of this one. Actually, there's one reason for that is, outside of black, white is usually the other color that is able to answer it. And let's take a look at their exile effects, because their exile and or destroy effects. Ossification is they have the good one in Ossification, but Annex Sentry misses. Vanish to Eternity is expensive. Against all odds, doesn't. Eternal Wanderer brings it back, so it's pretty much it'll pretty much have to be the board wipe effect. Kaya is also another answer, but otherwise Ossification is the only reliable cheap answer. Everything else is just too expensive. That's pretty much where we're going. As far as destroy effects are concerned, I said our Anoint with Affliction is exile based, so it works, but you do need to hit Corrupted first. Annihilating Glare, it's like you're either sacking a creature or paying for extra mana. If you're lucky, you could get an Edict effect off it. So we're kind of relying off on that. Otherwise, we also have a copy of Drivnod Carnage Dominus. Depending on some matchups, being able to have something that's very expensive and something that's really indestructible will help us. Otherwise, I probably would just replace it with another copy of Vraska Betrayal Sting. This is the one of the few cards that has repeatable Proliferate. And it's actually a pretty good selection here. The removal suite is fine. You can play it safely even at 5 mana and pay 2 life. Not likely to hit the ultimate, but otherwise we should be quite solid here. That said, it's not perfect. We can easily lose out to a really aggro start. We're not exactly running board wipes. We do have a single copy of Black Sun's Twilight. But that one's just a flex pick that but otherwise we actually are running mostly commons, so this might be a decent budget option, assuming our opponent does not. Okay, so at least it's not. So depending on what our opponent plays on turn 2, this is most likely poison of some sort. Jawbone Duelist. Double Strike is fine, so probably just play the Blight Belly Rat here. If our opponent has a combat, it's kind of safe to block for the most part. Otherwise, we're just running Vraska's Fall just to make our opponent sacrifice a creature. Slaughter Singer, what's this? Whenever another creature, it gets +1/+1 until end of turn. Ooh, so we're definitely taking. Not the worst. And this one does give us. Ooh, this one is the problem card. Unfortunately, this is where hitting all our... So if we swing with this one, our opponent most likely just takes. If we play this one, the problem is our opponent can easily just keep getting the toxic through. And this one at least is another. So there is that. Yeah, I kind of have to play this one first. See what our opponent... There's a chance they sacrifice the duelist, that's fine. No, they sacrificed that. So they're gonna try to hit with the duelist. This one can't block. We're probably not gonna be able to block also, so we're gonna go for this. Next turn, we're most likely annihilating Glare plus Edict, depending on what our opponent's follow-up is. Yeah, us starting later kind of hurt us here. So we're gonna be at 5. Not the best position in the planet. We know we can at least get our opponent to Corrupted, but will we be able to get out of it afterwards? That's the question. At least this is tapped out, so you're going for it now. Opponent. Yeah, and we're gonna proliferate that. We're gonna swing. Our opponent can just make a small one. That's not the worst thing to happen. I guess we do play another Blight Belly Rat. And sacrifice. So we target the Skrill, sack this. We get ourselves another proliferate. Let's see if our opponent has a way to protect. Nope. Oh wait, why is it floating? It's the death trigger, so this one is still up. Our opponent can actually protect it, but they're choosing to let it go. They might just make a might. They did hold up all that mana. But now we kind of used up most of our removal, so that is an issue there. Opponent goes Annex Sentry. So we're gonna play the Pestilent Siphoner first. That's because we can surprise, or if our opponent goes to swing, we can surprise with Edict. But if our opponent plays another creature, this Edict is instant speed. If our opponent goes for a fight effect, we have Edict also works pretty well. Let's see. Non-token creature. But they still get the target creature, because we still have, it's one of our targets is still live. We will still get poison counter. Ossification, probably to new rat. Sure, makes sense. Opponent gonna swing. We do have to block this. We are on track to lose, yeah, especially if we keep drawing lands. We're not gonna win at this rate. Ossification is the one good reason to go mono white. We're not gonna win if we keep drawing back-to-back lands, but we did give this deck a little bit of a run for its money. Now let's see if we can survive. If our opponent has another Ossification, we are in trouble. Slaughter Singer, so it only buffs the PT, which is kind of not so relevant at this point. This one is a problem. Yeah, maybe adding some card draw would be a good fit here. Let's see if our opponent does have. Yeah, green-white Infectious Bite is a good removal spell. We can actually concede if our opponent shows it. We kind of needed to have. We kind of needed to not draw 2 back-to-back lands, but sometimes it happens. That was a bit of a shame. So not a very auspicious start, but I know I can get this deck to get this deck to work. I probably could cut some of the I could cut the extra Annihilating Glare in favor of another Anoint, and I could actually cut two of them for an Anoint and Shieldred's Edict. That is one way to adjust it here. We're gonna keep this one, though realistically we only have one good removal spell. If we can, because we can at least land the Hive Master. If we need to remove something, we can remove it. Well, we got back-to-back Hive Masters. We'll play them out. Our opponent might have a counter spell. Nope, let's it go. Prologue to Phyresis. I'm starting us off on a little poison. Let's see what our opponent lands. If we hit the 4th mana, I might not play Obliterator right away. Anoint with Affliction to exile. Okay, that's fine. That's one removal spell down. Actually, knowing this is the situation, I am going to play Obliterator right away. That said, our opponent does have removal effects. If they have an Edict, it's really bad, so I really want to get down Hive Master as soon as possible. Experimental Augury just for the proliferate, that's fine. Also, we have to note that Drown in Ichor is a sorcery, Annihilating Glare is a sorcery, so let's be careful in that respects. Thankfully, they're not a tree poison yet. They're otherwise their counter spell. Serum Snare, sure, that's fine. Bounce it back. It's a bit expensive, so it misses the proliferate. They probably will now be holding up counter spells, so we'll have to keep that in mind. We probably start swinging with Hive Master. Drawn in Ichor. Okay, now they have corrupted, so we can expect this to get countered. Well, I'll probably start swinging with this one though. This one is instant speed though, so we'll keep it at that. We're gonna actually we'll try to set up for a little poison first. Let's see if we can convince our opponent to actually play some creatures. Yeah, no, they're just gonna poison with they're just gonna poison the other way. So we're not the best deck for this one. All our removal is kind of stranded at this point. We could Drown in Ichor our own might if it gets to that. Yeah, they're just gonna sit back here. So we're gonna try to. We're kind of racing them, but not in a great way. Yeah, once they land that first counter, it's really. This is a lot better in constructed than in standard. In limited, that's for sure. Because being able to have multiple copies of the same proliferate effect is a big issue. It's a big deal. Voidwing hybrid, so there. Yeah, the reason our opponent's letting that go is because they want to hold up the 2 mana for the counter spell. Unfortunately, we're kind of flooding again. We're gonna play this now. I'm expecting this to get countered. There's really no way around it. No, it doesn't get countered. Does it get bounced? Thankfully, you don't get to proliferate even if you bounce something this big, so we're kind of happy with that. Am I willing to sack this to? Yeah, I probably will. Prologue. Yeah, they're just going to poison us out here. we had a really slow start. We did not hit any of our early creatures. That one was an issue. Yeah, like, and all our removal is really stranded here. It's not looking good. We do have to play this again just to force a clock, but it's gonna get countered. This is actually a good way to build it. It's just control. You kind of ignore your opponent. Drawn in Ichor to proliferate. We can kind of do the same thing. Yeah, I'm gonna cut down the Annihilating Glares. We have way too many. This one's thankfully instant speed, but if our opponent has any more... I could just play this, but we kind of have to wait a bit. I'm probably gonna expect a lot of counter spells, so that's... This is actually quite tense. I'm trying to think of what flash creatures our opponent might have in these colors. Anoint with Affliction. Yeah, unfortunate. Yeah, we're gonna have to let that go. That's fine. If our opponent can hit two more proliferate cards, we're dead. No way around it. This one, if our opponent has extra removal, we can do instant speed proliferate. Okay, drawing 2 cards. It's gonna get close. How many proliferate effects does our opponent have is the question. We are prologue. Each opponent gets a, so we are gonna get poisoned out if they have one more proliferate effect. Do they have the counter spell? Yeah, they did. Yeah, we're gonna make some adjustments here. Definitely the Annihilating Glare is we're gonna cut off a few Annihilating Glares. We got a bit close to the catch up, but I was really concerned about the counters. I was proven right. Yeah, I'm gonna change some of the Annihilating Glares. Them being sorcery speed and requiring creature sack is a problem especially when most of the creatures kind of die normally anyways. So we're gonna make some adjustments to that one. Could I add some more creatures? Like corrupted was not an issue. So the one creature that keeps coming back might be an option. It just doesn't quite contribute to either toxic. So anyway, let's definitely make 4 of these. I'm actually gonna cut this down to 2. Add another Anoint with Affliction. Then we're gonna check out. Card draw was an issue for us. Fleshless Gladiator. It does come back. It does come back as a blocker, so that is a good one. Probably want to add we probably want to add some Infectious Inquiries in. Actually, I'm gonna change the Vraska's Fall to Infectious Inquiry instead. We have Shieldred's Edict for that function. We might adjust the Drown in Ichor and Shieldred's Edict in that sense. So we'll test this change out. I do check the Then let's see. Phyrexia Arena is a way to give us additional card draw. Like, I could replace the Infectious Inquiry with that. But we'll leave it as this for now. They're not exactly hitting the matchups I ran into a while ago, except for the mono white one. That one was the green white one. I usually run into mono white, but I did run into some green white also. Somehow not running into the matchups I ran a while ago. Was my validation wrong? Need to draw some creatures to make this work, but otherwise I'm gonna mull this. Okay, this one is better. We get an Infectious Inquiry. We can bin one Whisper. The Annihilating Glare is starting to become a liability, so I am considering cutting it altogether. Green. Evolving Adaptive. We can pass. We can wait on this one, I guess. Actually, yeah, I'm gonna pass here. I'm expecting it to grow. I'm expecting our opponent to drop a bit. Oh, not playing a 2-drop. If they don't play a relevant 2 Fuseling, okay, that will not grow it, so that's fine. So with this one, we can play Siphoner and hold up Whisper of the Dross. Opponent playing green-red. I did expect some of this, so that's why I wanted to have sacrifice effects. Opponent going for the full charge. We are gonna nuke this in response. So this one's gonna grow a bit. I guess we can get started with Infectious Inquiry. We kind of need to draw some cards. Okay, the Obliterator is a good drop for us here. We'll see if our opponent is able to. If our opponent's going to be able to grow this quite a lot. Okay, it doesn't quite grow it. I can just play Vraska Sting, but it probably gets removed. I'm going to just play the Obliterator now. See if our opponent can figure a way to answer this without wiping their board. No, they can't. And that is why I run Phyrexia Obliterator. There are the matchups that are just some straight up damage, and unless you have white, unless you have black, the blue bounce a while ago was annoying, but that is also a decent answer. But if you're just running green red, which is quite popular, it's not going to answer an Obliterator easily. Not without cost. I could have also gone for the white version. It is a flying. It is a flying creature. It actually prevents damage, so it's not going to go down. But the only way it answers the board state is by redirecting the damage. It could be better. The sacrifice of multiple permanents tends to be better, even if our opponent. Maybe I do try out one Gladiator since I already got the. Maybe I do try out one Gladiator. Anyway, let's I'm gonna adjust the deck list on the fly, see if I can remember the changes I made. This shouldn't be that hard. Yeah, cut out 2 of these. I guess I could have. Let's see. Okay, we're keeping this one. Yeah, now I need to check what I. Yeah, I don't remember everything I put in. I think, yeah, I added the 4th Whisper if I'm not mistaken. Crawling Chorus, expected. I can go for Edict, but it's a. But I'm gonna go for the Siphoner first. Take the first poison counter. See how our opponent responds to this. Jawbone Duelist, so... and we also have the Black Sun's Twilight. No, this one is sorcery, but these are instant, so... we'll nuke out the Duelist first because this is the more annoying one if it gets... and this is also an instant, so depending on what our opponent drops, we can just Black Sun's Twilight for 1, and then just go for the Edict. Not the best use of Shieldred's Edict, but I kind of expected them to have a bloated Contaminator, so... opponent goes for another Jawbone Duelist. And to a Skrelv's Hive. We will take that one. And... okay, there is a good chance we're going to end up sacking to draw a card. We can probably do it anyway, since we'll still have 2 mana for Edict. Okay, Infectious Inquiry is going to be helpful for us. I'm going to leave this be because if our opponent's just dropping these tokens, we can outrace them. If our opponent drops a creature, that's where our Edict comes in. If our opponent has Infectious Bite as removal, that would be annoying. Yeah, we'll leave that be. Probably should not have played that land. Yeah, we're gonna just play Infectious Inquiry now. They do have 1 possible haste creature, which is a problem. So now here the race comes in. We're gonna go up to 6. They drop a Brutalizer, so we go up to 7. So it ties, but the multitude of tokens becomes an issue. So let's see, 8, 9. This is a problem. We need to block all of these. We can answer. So I'm trying to see how do we survive this. We can go up. I can play this, go up to 9. If I play this, we just lose. Yeah, a bit unfortunate. We let our opponent generate too many tokens. The Mirrex was an issue. I kind of wish these were. And let's see, this one can pump something, but those were forced blocks. We can't really do anything about that. Let's see, does our opponent still have gas? Nope. Unfortunately, we're kind of out of gas as well. We're gonna play this, see what else we hit. Our Obliterator came way too late. We kind of had it. We underestimated the proliferate. We thought we had the time, but the mites really just kept pouring through. Could we needed to have a blocker in the ground. The Obliterator would have been would have been a perfect answer there. I was actually concerned that they might have the haste toxic creature, but I couldn't complain too much about this match. That particular match, we just kind of got outplayed in that sense. I think if I didn't sack for that card, I would have had enough mana in the long term. Anyway, what were the changes I made here? I kind of forgot already. Just to verify, yeah, 4 anoint, 3 drown, 3 edict. The 2 Verasca's Fall is now 2 Infectious Inquiry. Maybe I could have added more Black Sun's Twilights. Those probably would have been helpful. That's also, I'm not too sure about my math. I think, yeah, still 60 cards. But even if we're taking losses, consider that this deck is awfully cheap to build. So if you're okay, maybe the Obliterators are not quite cheap. If you've been playing for a while, you would have access to them. Okay, so now we have 2 Obliterators, but we're gonna need to hit the mana for the Infectious Inquiry so we can, and hopefully hit another land afterwards. So let's hope our opponent does not play a juice big enough to drop. I am willing to just drop Whisper of the Dross right away. Opponent is doing the equipment deck. Okay, now it's gonna be embarrassing if we don't hit that land. This is admittedly a greedy keep. Now, actually, because of this, I'm actually free to use the Black Sun's Twilight instead. Thanks to our opponent for being greedy in that one. They could have maybe waited. Okay, we're gonna play Infectious Inquiry because we need to hit that 4th land, and there we go. We hit our 4th land. We can. Ossification becomes a problem. But we're gonna see if they have it. We'll play this out now. They probably have Ossification. It makes sense in red-white. So this is now double strike with a lot of damage. Our opponent can kill our Obliterator, but at what cost? And we'll probably play a Hive Master at this point. The one issue with the Artifacts deck is you are still playing 1 creature at a time. Actually, the Barb Batterfist was actually making their creatures weaker. Not, and in a format where everyone. Okay, let's see. Our opponent probably gives up all their artifacts and 2 of their lands. But now that they gave up the artifacts, it means they're not going to be able to. They're not going to be able to cast another. Well, they can still cast it for full cost, but that will clear their board. Yeah, it's over. So that one was a more decent win. Come on, I want to have a matchup with the white-green deck again. I designed it in particular against that one. Probably still weak against the blue-black deck. Yeah, we underestimated the Skrell's Hive. Do we have any enchantment removal in black this time? That is something to consider. I know we don't have a board wipe do we have a board wipe effect in black? I know we have one in red. It's also going to be very hard to search for it here. Anyway, so we got opponent does go first, but they're taking a mulligan, so I'm willing to start off, even if it's a slow turn 2 rat. If things get dicey, Yeah, it's always going to be Crawling Chorus 1. We did not hit the Affliction, but I know we... So we're going to have to choose how we're going to answer this. We're going to do the Rat first. It will force our opponent to have removal. You know, it's an Annex Sentry. We'll keep that in mind. We have the trick from last time. Though actually we don't, because these are both non-token creatures. We're gonna have to do this now. We need to at least... Okay, Skrelv Defector might... Actually... So we're gonna go with the sack a non-token creature first. Let's get it out of the way. Okay, sacks that one. That's a given. And yeah, we have to do this now because that Skrelv is very problematic. Ooh. So now we have to draw cards. Okay, we got our Whisper of the Draw, so that's some good news. So I don't know what their last card is, but we're gonna go for it now. And because it's a token, it doesn't come back. And our opponent's out of gas. So we're gonna play the Siphoners first. I do suspect our opponent might have a White Sun's Twilight. Yeah, they did. So depending on the board state, we can buy some time. If our opponent has removed, we can Flensing Raptor. So let's see which one it targets. There is an Anoint with Affliction. But all of these have Toxic. Yikes, this is... Yeah, unfortunately, our opponent just had that last card. We're not going to win off this one. We need additional help. Come on! I was able to validate this deck early. Yeah, it looks like it's the multitude of mites that are the problem. I'm gonna first double check if there's -1/-1. Oh, it's gonna be hard to search for that. Oh yeah, search text. Yeah, there is no mass -1/-1. I'm gonna try -2/-2 on the off chance, but it's also quite unlikely. Usually it's either one of the two. Nope, there's no -2/-2. Yeah, it's only red that has it. It's 1 damage to everything. It's 1 damage to everything. In hindsight, I could have held back what I should have held. Instead of that, I should have just played the two rats. That would have put us a little bit closer. Let's see if our opponent has their own removal. Blue black, void with hybrid. We could have swung first. But there's a good chance our opponent blocked, and And I really wanted to maintain a creature on board so that our opponent's forced to use up their stuff. Though again, this is concerning because our opponent kind of just ignores what we have. Though thankfully we can just edict. Okay, it just goes back to hand, so we don't edict it right away. Okay, we hit our obliterator mana. Hope our opponent probably is forced to cast this one first. Yeah, we kind of need to hold a bit. So if our opponent doesn't do anything, we can sack for draw pits. If our opponent does something, we can interact. We can edict it. I really need them to use up their blue mana though. Vraska, Betrayal, Sting. So we'll see which mode. Well, they're going to do the +1. And thankfully, we can get them to sack Planeswalkers. They will get the proliferate on us, but unfortunately, if they are, this is a good answer to our Phyrexia Obliterator. So we're once again in this particular situation. I'm glad I got the wins I already got, but I know we can. Well, also, but we've also used up a lot of cards in the process too. Vraska's Fall. Okay, thankfully I expected this one, so thankfully we added that. Unfortunately, it does make their Anointed with Affliction live as well as their Distorted Curiosity. Yeah, they had the Anointed Affliction. And now we're drawing way too many lands. Okay, Hive Master. Voidwing Hybrid. I'm actually... Okay, hit another Obliterator. I'm gonna go for this one first, see if our opponents... We know they have counter spells, that's the problem. Do I just force them to cast it now? Get it out of the way? Yeah, I'm gonna force them to cast and I'll get out of the way. If they have it, they have it. I can't really do anything about it if they... Oh no, it's just Augury. That's fine. Doesn't mean that they don't have an answer, but they will be distracted for the time being. So now it is a bit of a race. And our opponent still has a fistful of cards. We're casting this now anyway because it's not like we have much of an alternate option. Serum Snare returns that. Bounces, gets it back. Let's see what their other card is. Could be just another Anoint. We can't really do anything about it if it is. But our opponent is kind of letting it go. So. No, they spent the counter on that. Okay. Doesn't matter how our opponent's life goes down. They had the Verasca's fall. And we're just gonna be flooded now. Okay, that kind of ends it for us here. Yeah, blue-black is looking quite good too. If only because everything else is quite slow. Yeah, the blue-black one works. So maybe that would be a decent option. But that said, if you're not willing to spend so much, then this one's also fine too. I think there is still enough time for one more. Let's give it another shot. Just call me stubborn. I think the other fault is that I played this format a little bit, doing this video now a bit too late. Usually by the time this is done, I'm recording this, someone has already made a deck tech for this particular format. It kind of spoils the fun. Can't really do much about that though. Anyway, so we'll do Siphoner. I'm glad at least it's not a turn one with an aggressive drop right away. Opponent goes for a planar disruption. Not the worst thing. Planar disruption is a good removal spell in this sense, though opponent goes for the Annex Sentry. I'm gonna play the Obliterator now, but it probably just eats an ossification if our opponent knows the removal. Nope, just another planar disruption. Into a Skrelv's Hive. So we will take one. That's a bit annoying. I could play the Infectious Inquiry, but we're most likely gonna play our own Anoint. Yeah, I actually forgot that they do have cheap removal here. Let's see if there is though I would note that at least this one knows how to use removal. Into another Hive. So we will need to hold blockers now, since given the situation. So first let's draw cards. Perfect. I would say this is the proper way to build it. Just instead of, okay, the Rot Priest is a problem. Oh, they did have an ossification. Oh, they happen to have all. They're the ones with all the removal. Now I'm surprised. Yeah, our lack of enchantment removal is an issue here. Actually, let's do a check. Enchantment. Usually black has something, but it's possible that in this format they don't. So we're gonna see if this one sticks this time. And let's see. No, you have to be playing black-green to destroy enchantments. Or black-white. So we have choices, just super limited ones. So opponent probably just gives up one of their mites, so that... And since we know we need to hold back blockers, this is an issue. Okay, Whisper's fine. But it will give us a poison counter. Can't really do anything about that. But I would say good for white. They actually remembered to put removal. So thankfully, lifelink is not a trigger anymore. Yeah, you should not attack with the Rot Priest. Yeah, we're kind of giving ourselves a poison counter, but we still need to reduce the board. But we are kind of inching very close. Opponent might just end up swinging with the mites to reduce the amount of... to limit the amount of damage they take. Well, the amount of artifacts they have, permanents they have to sacrifice at least. But it looks like they're just going to sit back behind these two. And we keep getting one counter each time. But at least it's kind of on a standstill for now. Okay. Yeah, drawing cards is kind of important for us also. Now starting to load up the board a bit. We still can't attack quite yet. And I think our opponent now has to start playing other cards as well. They can't just sit back here. Bloated Contaminator. That's kind of fine. We're gonna sack this first. Into another Blight Belly Rat, which is good. Opponent. Ooh, this is a... Okay, that one's okay, but this one is a problem. That turns these into 10. Opponent actually holding that back. We are forced to block. Not that I'm unhappy to... So at least we get double proliferate to catch us up a little bit. Another draws pits, but coming down a bit late. And also, yeah, I'm dead. I don't have enough to block with this. Man, they... Also, note the number of lands we drew. We played 9 lands out of this. Our opponent just played 5 lands altogether. That is a bit unfair. Should we cut the number of lands we're running? I don't think so. I think we just got unlucky in that one. It does make blue. It does explain why blue black is the more popular one. It churns through the deck a lot more. But I'm still not satisfied. Also, it's not yet 8+, so I still have time. Call me stubborn. If we had white-black duels, I would have been perfectly fine with playing. If we had the white-black duel, I would have been perfectly fine playing white-black corrupted, actually. So I'm gonna play the Siphoner first, because we can anoint on our next turn if our opponent doesn't have another flyer. So we'll take the hit. So we'll see if our opponent remembers. Bunch of flyers this time. So we can't. Yep, planar disruption. That's expected. Do we block? No, we don't block. We'll take this one. This only affects creatures, which is an issue. And I want to clear the board a little bit. Let's see what our opponent's next response is. So I'm not gonna play the Anoint quite yet, because I suspect our opponent has a creature. Okay, they did have a creature, not too relevant though. Yeah, our lack of enchantment removal is disturbing. So I'm actually going to draw a card and lose and to proliferate, because I'm... Now, Incisor Glider, Swooping Lookout. The flying creatures are concerning. Let's draw a card first. We hit another Obliterator, but now the question is, what do we do next here? Because as soon as they swing, these become trees, and that's a... Well, it's not the worst problem. Yeah, we're good. Actually, I could have let them grow larger so that if when Obliterator blocks, it's a thing, but I suspect our opponent has removal. So this will take Vraska down to 1. Opponent is gonna... So if I want to preserve Vraska, I have to give up 1 creature. And our opponent has to sack 2 permanents. Incisor Glider again. Wow, how could we stop drawing lands, please? I guess the answer is no. We might actually lose to Flyers at this point. Yeah, I actually still have... I have to hold though. Man, how... Take note the number of lands our opponent played. They just played their 4th land now. I'm suspecting that they really are just cutting it down. Maybe 24 lands is a mistake. We could easily cut ours. Could we easily cut ours down? Maybe we could cut 1. Yeah, our opponent's now just gonna go at us at this point. Yeah, we... Unfortunately, we can't win if we keep hit. Yeah, and we have no way to defend against this. It didn't pan out this time. I'm gonna throw in the towel here. It was worth a shot. So what were our issues? Number 1, Skrelv's Hive. It just creates too many. It creates too many creatures eventually. 2, the people that are playing white actually know how to put play removal. When earlier I validated it, that was not so much, but now it looks like they've caught up. And we are still playing 1:1 threats, so that is usually an issue here. The format is relatively underpowered in the sense that we don't have that much in the way of efficient removal and whatnot. a control deck is probably the better solution of all things if we were to consider that. Yeah, maybe the blue-black deck would be a nice one. So that is something to consider. Anyway, we gave this one a shot. It's worth a look. See, let me know what you guys ran for this event. That's gonna be it for this episode of Magic Arena Run. If you like what you saw, please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. Turn on notifications and whatnot. And as always, thank you guys so much for watching. I hope to see you guys again next time. Take care. God bless. Stay safe wherever you are. Have a great week, everyone. Take care.